At the beginning of episode 5, a court lady approaches Lady Iron and informs her of what has happened to her son. Iron declares that she must go to the royal hospital immediately. In the next scene, she is seen shouting hysterically outside the hospital. Youngwoo urges her to calm down. Iron demands to know, where is my son? How is he? Youngwoo reassures her, don't worry. He is perfectly fine. He only sustained minor injuries. Iron enters the hospital and finds Lien, who is fast asleep. Iron then asks Youngwoo about Lien. What about him? Is he alright? I heard that he was involved in this incident as well. Youngwoo explains that Lien had exerted all his strength to bring the vehicle to a halt. He is currently undergoing surgery. He sustained an injury to his left shoulder. Youngwoo's secretary approaches him and reports that the public has already caught wind of the entire affair. However, they remain unaware that both Lien and, by extension, the king were involved. Youngwoo asks, what about Heju? Has she regained consciousness? The secretary replies in the negative but adds, we've already scanned her, she is physically fine. We just have to wait for her to wake up. Just then, Iron, who had overheard their conversation, steps forward and asks about Heju. Why are you talking about her? Was she involved in all of this, too? Youngwoo proceeds to explain the full details of the situation. Iron then turns to leave. Youngwoo asks her, where are you going? Iron replies, I am going to do exactly what I ought to do. Youngwoo warns her, if the public discovers that Lien was with Heju and how the two of them conspired to violate traffic laws, is that truly what you want? Do you realize what will happen next? Everyone will lay the blame squarely on the king. Iron challenges him, are you trying to protect Hesu? But Youngwoo firmly replies, I am protecting your son. At this moment, the scene shifts to Seo Choi and Jin Suk waiting anxiously outside the operating room. They were waiting for the doctor. After some time, the doctor came out and announced that Lien's surgery had gone well. He had been administered anesthesia and would regain consciousness in about an hour. Later that night, Jongyu was seen approaching Heju. He stood there, gazing at her. Stepping outside, he spoke to his secretary. I suspect this was done on purpose. Investigate it immediately, and call me the moment Heju regains consciousness. Lan also came to Heju's bedside and stood watching her. He recalled a specific memory the moment they were in the car together, and she had grasped his hand to keep him from being afraid. Gently, he reached out and took her hand in his. Just then, Heju woke up. Seeing him there, she asked, what are you doing here? Are you okay? Lan replied, yes, I'm fine. Please forgive me. But Heju simply said, it's alright. We're both perfectly fine. By the way, Lien, is he okay? Lan assured her, he's fine. He just underwent surgery. At the mere mention of the surgery, Heju rushed over to Lien, who was currently speaking with Choi. Heju reached out to touch Lien's face and asked, are you okay? Lien replied, what could possibly happen to me? I'm absolutely fine. He then reached out to touch Heju, but she instinctively pulled back. Lien quickly added, my hand hurts. Come here, quickly. Heju then moved closer and sat down beside him. You were so lucky to have survived, she said. Promise me that you'll never do something like that again, that you won't come rushing in to save me. Lan agreed, alright, I won't. But you have to promise me, to promise that you won't create situations like that in the future. Heju hesitated. I can't make that promise. Lan replied, in that case, I can't make mine either. Heju insisted, even so, you shouldn't have done it. Otherwise, people are going to think you've gone completely mad with love for me. Upon hearing this, Lien begins to smile. They look over at Diang and Taezu, who were exercising. Taezu's father was calling him. Diang asks Taezu, why is your father calling you? Did he find out that you didn't go to work? Taezu replies, it's 8 o'clock. I think it must be about something else. He then answers the call. Hongul tells him, turn on the TV and see what Heju has done. They do exactly that. The news report regarding Heju details how her car was speeding excessively and how she narrowly escaped death. Meanwhile, we see Haejung arriving at the hospital to visit Heju. However, the bodyguards refuse to let her pass. Just then, Heju herself steps out and declares, she is with me. She then brings Haejung inside. Haejung shows Heju how much her stock value has plummeted. Heju is left in shock upon seeing this. Haejung asks, how did the accident happen? Were you drinking? Ju denies it. Hae-jung suggests making the details of the incident public. But Ju replies, we can't do that. She then reveals, King and Lien were both with me. Therefore, we cannot make the investigation public. She then asks Hae-jung, do you really want to marry Lien? You should reconsider this matter. Ever since he entered your life, you've been facing nothing but trouble. First, there was the fire at the palace, and now you've been involved in an accident yourself. I feel like things are getting too intense between the two of you. Besides, the divorce is bound to happen after 3 years anyway. Just then, Jang Yu appears behind them and asks, what are you two talking about? Hae-jung steps outside, where Choi was having a drink. She walks over, sits down beside him, and asks, you work at the palace, don't you? Do you enjoy your work? He responds, what kind of question is that? Do you want to work there? Hae-jung states that once Ju marries Lien and moves into the palace, she intends to accompany her. Jong-woo confronts Ju, saying, you claimed this wedding was real, but you were lying. However, Ju insists, it wasn't a lie. We are simply fulfilling each other's needs. I possess money, talent, everything, but there is one thing I lack, status. That is precisely why I want to marry Lien. Jong-woo asks, is that the only reason? Ju retorts, what other reason could there possibly be? Jong-woo replies, very well then, if that is what you truly desire, marry me instead. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Lien is attended to by the court lady, who informs him that he is being discharged. She explains that Lien must be discharged immediately, otherwise, the public will begin to wonder about the whereabouts of their king. In the next scene, Ju arrives to visit Lien, but he is nowhere to be found. Elsewhere, Lien is seen at the palace, about to have a conversation with Jong-woo. The details of their discussion will be revealed later. Ju is sitting in her car. She has been repeatedly trying to call Lien, but he hasn't picked up. Hae-jung asks, didn't he speak to you earlier? He was right outside your room. Ju asks, when? Hae-jung replies, this morning. Suddenly, Ju recalls that she was speaking with Jong-woo at that very moment. Upon realizing this, Ju cries out in frustration. Ju then rushes to Lien's private residence, only to find her belongings being packed into a vehicle. She shouts in alarm, demanding to know, what is the meaning of all this? She is informed that Lien has instructed her to move into his home and that she can no longer reside at this residence. Young-moon then tells her that she must return the special sash belonging to Lien, the one they had previously used to gain entry into the ritual. Ju complies shortly thereafter. Meanwhile, Lien remains at the palace. Sin recalls the moment Jingyu told Ju, you could marry me instead of him. Just then, Ju messages Lien, telling him, whatever you have to say it to my face. The next morning, Ju arrives at the palace and encounters Irene. Irene tells Ju, I have a strong feeling that I won't need to teach you anything. Many teachers may be excellent, but there are certain things that simply cannot be taught. Ju doesn't quite grasp what she is referring to. She then proceeds to meet with Lien. Ju says to Lien, you've been discharged, yet you didn't even tell me. Why are you doing all this? Is the excuse Irene, or is it Jingyu? Lien asks, how could it be Jingyu? Ju replies, you must have overheard everything. Lien asks, overheard what? But Ju offers no further explanation. Lien then begins to explain, the brakes on your car were tampered with, and we still don't know who did it. We are currently investigating. Now, I have to alter my plans. I cannot marry you. You are the kind of girl who constantly breaks the rules. You have many enemies. If this continues, our crown will be ruined. Ju protests, but I haven't done anything wrong. I am the victim here. Lien replies, and that is precisely why I am keeping you away from all of this. Meanwhile, Hangik is speaking with Taezu. Taezu is showing him a video clip of the incident where Ju had steered her car toward the guardrail while attempting to slow it down. Taezu remarks, I suspect Ju must have been intoxicated at the time. She likely took drugs or something similar. Just then, Ju walks in and silences him. Ju confronts them, asking, you knew that I had been in an accident, yet not a single one of you came to ask how I was doing. Hangik responds, can you explain to us exactly how all of this happened? Ju insists that it is nothing, merely a lover's quarrel. That is all there is to it. Yoon-gu shouts back, I know exactly what's going on. Lien is just using you, he used you and then cast you aside. Do you even realize that the company's stock prices have plummeted? Ju replies, I know, but we are planning to hold a press conference very soon. Once that happens, the stock will bounce back up. It's really not a big deal. If these were the only things you wanted to discuss, you could have just sent me a text next time. Later, she places a call to Hae-young and explains that someone had tampered with her car. She asks Hae-young to investigate the matter. Subsequently, Hae-young proceeds to do just that. Meanwhile, Choi is seen speaking with Lien, asking, why did you call off the wedding? After much prodding, Lien finally reveals the reason, because I want Ju to stay alive. He recalls a scene from the past where he was in a car with court lady Jin Suk, his mother was following in the vehicle behind them. He spoke to his mother, saying, my brother wants chicken. Can we go back? His mother replied, all right, I'll go get it. Just as she turned her car around, a truck came speeding toward them, resulting in a horrific accident. Lien scrambled out of his vehicle and looked toward his mother, but she did not survive. Lien also recalls the moment when Ju's car was teetering near a guardrail as she struggled to slow down. He reflects on the regret he felt at that moment, realizing that he was the one who had dragged Ju into this entire mess. Finally, Lien remembers the conversation with Jin Woo, who had revealed that someone had deliberately sabotaged the brakes on Ju's car. We are trying to determine whom he intended to kill with this act, Ju or the king. I can protect both you and the king. However, to ensure Ju's safety, you must send her away from the palace. Lien then instructs Choi to prepare a farewell gift for Ju. Meanwhile, Iron is conversing with her court lady, noting that an inner court event is soon to take place at the palace, and preparations for it are already underway. They review a guest list to see which ladies are scheduled to attend. Ju is at her company, speaking with an employee who had been slacking off on his duties. Just then, Choi arrives. He speaks with Ju, presents her with a gift, and informs her that the palace event is approaching and that Lien has personally invited her to attend. He adds that she is expected to wear the accompanying dress to the event. However, Ju declines, stating firmly that she will not be attending. Choi tries his best to persuade her, but she remains adamant and refuses to heed his words. Later, Hae-jung asks Ju, didn't you used to enjoy such events? Ju replies, yes, I did, but that was before the wedding. Now that my wedding is no longer taking place, I see no reason to attend any events. Choi returns to Lien and reports that Ju has refused to attend. Lien remarks, you should have tried harder. Choi replies, she was glaring at me furiously, I had no choice but to retreat. Later, Lien recalls a previous conversation he had with Iron. Iron had said, I heard that you and Ju have broken up. What are your plans now? Lien replied, I have no specific plans. I simply wish to protect her. I do not intend to marry her. However, I do have one condition regarding the upcoming palace event which many ladies are expected to attend. I want you to ensure that Ju is invited as well. Lien then tells Choi, I will convince her myself. In the following scene, we see that Lien has been making numerous phone calls. Jung tells Ju that he keeps calling repeatedly, asking to come over. We witness several such scenes, but she consistently turns him down. In the next scene, we see Ju emerging from the police station, a file in her hand. She calls Ju and says, I went to the repair shop. I've found something out. There was a man who tampered with your car. The police investigated him, but they couldn't find him, he had already fled. Ju replies, there's a convenience store right across from the repair shop. Go there and check the security footage. I have a feeling he might have bought something there. In the following scene, Ju arrives at a private residence to meet Lien. Lien asks her, why are you rejecting my invitation? Do you not want to come? Are you scared? She replies, it's nothing like that. Besides, why would I go there? I'm constantly breaking the rules. I have plenty of enemies, don't I? That's exactly what you told me yourself. Lien responds, I'm doing all of this for your sake, to ensure you stay protected. Ju retorts, you're inviting me to an event. What exactly is going to happen just by showing up? Are you planning to protect me right there? Lien says, I don't understand why you're refusing to do this. Is it really that difficult for you? Ju calls him a coward. She then stands up, picks up a bow, and declares, "I'm going to kill your cat." She reaches for an arrow. Although she has no intention of actually releasing it, Lien panics. He lunges forward to grab the arrow, injuring his hand in the process. Hee-ju notices the injury. She takes off her scarf and binds it around his hand. Lien tells her, "Never back down. Never compromise. Just keep moving forward. In this way, you will win, and we will both get exactly what we want." In the next scene, Choi speaks with Lien. He bandages Lien's hand and says, "I told you not to talk to her. She is a terrifying woman." But Lien replies, "It wasn't her fault. I knew she wouldn't let it go." We then see Hee-ju's employees, who are reviewing the convenience store's security footage. They manage to identify the man in the video. He had even used his own credit card. In the following scene, Hee-ju speaks with her brother, Tae-ju, and says, "I need your help. The footage you're watching, it shows the man who wants to kill me. I want you to find out who he is." We then see Jong-woo standing on his rooftop. He recalls a conversation he had with Hee-ju. Hee-ju had asked him, "Why would you want to marry me?" Jong-woo replied, "Why shouldn't I?" Hee-ju pointed out, "Your term lasts only 5 years. After that, you won't be the prime minister anymore. But Lien's case is different. Whether I choose to divorce him or not, regardless of the circumstances, he will always remain a member of the royal family." Later that night, we see Jin-sook speaking with Lien. She remarks, "I heard there was an argument going on inside earlier." Lien replies, "Choi must have told you everything." Jin-sook responds, "All of this was happening with Hee-ju before, too. She even underwent an investigation back then." Later that night, Lien calls Hee-ju and says, "The invitation has already been sent out. You can't decline it now. You simply have to attend the event." Hee-ju replies, "I said some harsh things to you earlier, please forgive me for that." Lien responds, "You should forgive me, too. I promised you that we would get married, but I wasn't able to keep that promise." In the next scene, Choi arrives to meet Hee-ju and remarks, "I heard you've agreed to attend the event." He then proceeds to explain what the event entails and what games might take place there, eventually shifting the conversation to the subject of ranks. Hee-ju asks, "What will my rank be?" But he replies, "Your rank isn't official." He adds that, regardless, everyone must conduct themselves according to rank. Hee-ju asks, "What exactly are you trying to say? Do I have to stand at the very end of the line?" She then laughs and teases him, saying, "If I were married, I would be at the very front of the line." Later that night, she is at her home when Lien calls her, saying, "I want to see you." Hee-ju goes to him and begins walking back and forth in front of him. Lien asks, "What are you doing?" Hee-ju replies, "I have to walk just like this at the event tomorrow. Since I don't have a rank, I'm practicing in advance." At this, Lien begins to smile. The next morning, we see the palace, where everyone is busy preparing for the event. Hee-ju is at her home, looking at the dress she is to wear to the occasion. She recalls the scene from the previous night, the moment she was about to head home and said goodbye to Lien. However, Lien had stopped her to ask, "How exactly does one lead a procession?" "I know nothing about it." Hee-ju had replied, "Don't worry. Just stay by my side, I'll show you how." Meanwhile, we see Tae-ju rushing home. He speaks to Da-young, saying, "I've found out who the man was that tried to kill my sister, but he died yesterday." In the following scene, the event takes place at the palace. All the ladies have arrived, but Hee-ju's seat remains empty. Everyone watches the vacant seat and begins to gossip, making snide remarks about Hee-ju and her connection to the palace. Just then, Irene arrives and overhears their conversation. She spots her and offers an apology. Outside, the crowd is cheering loudly, and at that moment, Hee-ju makes her entrance. However, she is not wearing the dress that Irene had sent her. Instead, she is wearing a completely different outfit, the one she always wears. Members of the media begin questioning Hee-ju about the accident. She answers all their inquiries. Irene asks Hee-ju, "Did you not wear the dress I gave you?" She declines, replying, "I just ended up coming in this one." Irene asks, "Do you not like it?" Hee-ju then looks at her and smiles. Now, everyone has gathered outside on the palace grounds. They are all walking in a procession line. Irene notices Hee-ju, who appears to be feeling the heat despite having an umbrella shielding her, and suggests, "Come on, let's do one more lap." Suddenly, however, all the women in the crowd begin to scream as Lien makes his appearance. He walks straight up to Hui Ju and says, "I'm on your side. Will you teach me?" She answers, "Yes." He offers her his arm, and Hui Ju takes hold of it. The two then walk forward together, bringing the episode to a close. So guys, we'll catch up again in episode 6. Until then, bye.